I wanted to put this video out as soon as I heard the announcements for the Oscars, but I decided to do my research and find out a little bit more about the movies in the lineup. So, first off, as everyone knows, 2018 has had a host of very middle of the road to just terrible movies, with sadly, like an Avengers movie being quite possibly the best movie to come out, and that the end of the year would see two of its biggest contenders and then a couple of small films here and there. Now, I'm looking at the lineup, and it's come to my attention that Hollywood is completely out of touch with its fan base, or the people who go to see movies. Okay, they haven't been aligned with them, I'd say, a better part of a decade, maybe longer. Picking movies and things that are so random and out of the box to the point that no one has even seen them yet, let alone heard of the movies nominated. Now, here's what I find really interesting about this whole thing. Last year's big controversy was a scandal that African Americans did not have enough representation at the awards. And to this fact, it was true. A lot of the movies that they put were random, obscured movies with, you guessed it, a more Caucasian cast, if you will. And I'm using the politically correct phrasing here. But, to be fair, African-American actors in Hollywood seem to be in short supply, and any good ones worth mentioning are always doing various different projects. So to get them all together to do what would even be considered an Oscar-worthy or Academy Award-winning or an Emmy or any of those kind of award shows that they have, to get a cast together for that kind of a movie is very hard to do, just because in general Hollywood as a whole has been lacking in the representation. What I find particularly hilarious this year is that they pick two movies that are just, oh, I am at a loss of words to describe how funny yet not funny this whole situation is. I mean, they picked Black Panther and Black Klansman, which, newsflash, Black Klansman, if you look at the box office numbers, did terrible. Don't get me wrong, I've seen the movie, I know people who've seen the movie. It's got really good directors, and Jason Blime and Spike Lee and Jordan Peele and all of those kind of helming it and starring in it and things like that. It's based on a true story, and on the whole, the movie was actually pretty decent. And then we have Black Panther. Now, people who work with me have heard my feelings on this film. Personally, I didn't like it at all. But I know a lot of people did, and I won't take away to the fact, as far as Marvel films go that have been made, it's got some pretty stunning visuals and great choreographed fighting, and the cinematography, especially for a couple of the fights, were pretty outstanding. As a whole, I find it the weakest Marvel movie in the franchises. That's just my personal opinion. And you can leave comments below and let me think what you think about that. But, I mean, on the whole, not a bad movie, watchable. I've even watched it again to maybe get a different perspective and maybe a newfound appreciation, which I found, just like the first time of viewing, don't care for it. I think Michael B. Jordan is the person who really brings out the quality in that film, and what they do with his characters. In case you've been living under a rock and haven't watched it, I don't want to spoil it, but what they do to his character at the end kind of ruins the movie for me, because quite honestly, the rest of the cast was a good cast as far as African talent is concerned, but I felt like a lot of the performances were alright. I mean, nothing really to write home about. So, you're putting in Best Picture of the Year, like a category that's reserved for movies like The Departed, Revenant, I mean, you could go as far back as you want to. I mean, great, well-made films from like people like Martin Scorsese and Steven Spielberg, and these really great, well-known directors who made, in every sense of the word, terrific movies. Whether it's acting, whether it's action, just across the board, great films. And you're putting Black Panther and Black Klansman in. And this feels like a play thing. Now, in Hollywood, another group of people who have had poor representation has been the Asian community. And any film we've made has been adapted to American, and very poorly, might I add, so that it would be, quote-unquote, acceptable for an American audience. And it really takes away to the original ideas of the original. Great case in point, The Grudge, The Ring, things like that. If you watch the original Japanese versions compared to the American versions, falls flat on everything. I mean, even with The Grudge having Takashi Mike working on with them to kind of give his input, it still felt like it was missing something. I can't put my finger on it. In films that did phenomenal in the box office, and quite possibly were some of the more better films to come out, and yet they don't get even a nod in this category. We had Crazy Rich Asians and Searching, both phenomenal movies, both had a diverse cast to them, and both were well acted and just a great time. I mean, I've asked numerous people, I went to see them myself, and, you know, the box office numbers really state how good these movies were. Because moviegoers, I know people who've seen some of those movies 2 or 3 times, right? And what makes a good film? Repeat business. Now, no mention of any of those films, right? And they came out during this 2018 cutoff. Okay? So, another big thing is Star is Born. Bradley Cooper getting snubbed for Best Director, but yet being nominated for Best Picture. Has not been done in, I can't even remember recent memory, when the person who makes the film and directs hasn't gotten some kind of directorial credit. No mention. We all know at the Golden Globes, I feel Lady Gaga got snubbed for her role in Star is Born. And just, you know, even if you look across the ratings, very lukewarm reception from critics, but yet the people love it. Same thing with Bohemian Rhapsody. Where's the irony in this? It's being nominated by Best Picture, but look at the reviews by the reviewers, and still they got okay reviews, right? And now look at Black Panther and the Black Klansman and things like that, and these got phenomenal reviews for okay-ish movies. Granted, Black Panther's numbers and the reviews and even the people, they do kind of line up. But my whole point is that the reason why censorship is dropping for these shows is because think about the concept behind the Oscars, the Academy Award, the Golden Globes. They pick the movies by their panel. Not normal everyday people who go and see the movie. It's their hand-picked panel, okay? They then are nominated by this hand-picked panel. Then after that, they get to the actual ceremony where another panel that they pick gives out the awards. And people watch these and clamor as if they have a choice. But really, it's just more of the same. It's Hollywood patting itself on the back all the time. And look at the movies that win. I mean, honestly, very few of them you ever hear about unless it's Best Picture, because those are the only known films. And it's not to say that there isn't, you know, unknown gems in there. There's been certain movies that have been recommended to me that I've watched and go, wow, this was really good. I'm glad it got sad that the relevance of these shows have gone down. I mean, when you think about in the day with, like, some of the first award shows featuring movies like To Sir with Love and and A Raisin in the Sun and things like that, and going throughout history and into the 90s and the 80s and Godfather and all these great movies that have come along where the award ceremonies mattered, and you saw movies that were your favorite movies, that were good movies, that were nominated. And nowadays, film quality is good, but movies in general are just poor. They're big blockbuster popcorn flicks, or they're remakes, or they're based on a book, or they're based on something else that came out. I mean, the sad truth is Hollywood is running out of ideas. And for these ceremonies, they're running out of things to nominate because there's no fresh new talent coming up making it worth watching these shows. And my prediction is this. Look for maybe Black Panther to win a lot of awards just to say that they did the right thing and they represented the African American community, right? It's either going to be Black Panther or Black Klansman. I can guarantee you we're going to clean up in the awards. But I will tell you the biggest tragedy, and I'm going to make another video on this for the results. But the biggest tragedy is if you have Black Panther win Best Picture. And why I say that is because you will have great movies such as The Departed, Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, and Rocky, and all these other films, and then Black Panther. It doesn't even fit into the mold of the great movies that have come before it. And that's really what the award ceremonies are supposed to be about. They're supposed to be about recognizing truly great filmmaking. I mean, across the board, like moving stuff. I could even handle them putting up Infinity War because there were a lot of elements of very in-depth acting. You know, some sad moments, action-packed moments, very good dialogue for a comic book film. I mean, putting that up in this category would have made sense. It fits kind of dramatically, right? But, I mean, to put a movie up just because you want to save face is just really sad. And it shows the state that these shows are into. I mean, and it's not just this. It's the Emmys for television. I mean, how many shows do you see get nominated where you're thinking, my goodness, I don't watch this or that show? Really? Right? But it's just, once again, it's these companies being so out of touch with their fan base and not being in tune with what the people want to see, with what the people think are good. And I think it's really sad. It's why American Idol was big when it came out, before it got terrible, but those first couple of seasons, that's why American Idol was big. It's why shows that are interactive are so popular, because people want to know that their voices are heard in these choices. And with the way that the movie industry has been, it's been blind to the viewer. And the ironic part is the whole industry is set up to be for us, the viewer. It's why I do movie reviews. It's why anyone reviews movies. And sure, it's my perspective that I'm giving you, but I'm just like you, right? Just like the next movie reviewer, right? Who's the small independent guy, just telling you who got out of the film, just telling you what he thinks, or why the Rotten Tomatoes audience scores are so important, because it's actual people telling you what they think. And that's why the audience scores clash with the critics, because even though you say, yeah, the critics look for different things, they have biases just like people do. And their biases sometimes are so agenda motivated that they completely forget that they're supposed to be the impartial source. They're supposed to break down the movie from the aspect of technical and what makes a good movie a movie. And lately, I feel like that hasn't been the case. I feel like they've been really out of touch with what the audience wants to see, because what the audience is getting as far as films go haven't been that great to begin with. So, as I said in my New Year's, hopefully the movies get better, and I can actually be happy to review a movie, because the last two I've seen have just not made me really that, interested in going to the movies. Give you an example, I'm going to see A Dog's Way Home with my daughter, and I think that is going to be more exciting than any film that I have seen that has come out. But hey, what do I know? I'm not getting paid the big bucks to sit down and tell you guys all this stuff, or have these big wigs who actually care about my opinion. So anyways, just for giggles, I'm actually going to watch this year's Academy Awards, and I'm going to write down the winners and come back to you guys and let you know what my opinions are. And fingers crossed for hopefully Spider-Verse winning, because at least it'd be one movie that I actually want to winning. So this has been Lee with my movie reviews. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you like the channel, hit the subscribe button. Filming style, if there's any movie you would like me to review or any movie you'd like my thoughts on, and I will try my best to go and see it and let you know.